Okay.
All right, Rose.
Hello, everyone. Glad everyone could make it. I'm here to introduce Margaret Larkin, who is going to talk to us tonight about podcasting. And beyond what we have written and emailed about her background, I asked her a few other questions as to why she got or how she got into podcasting, what intrigues her about it, any hobbies, recent travels or books she's read or recommends, and any guidance she might give to someone who's thinking about creating a podcast for the first time. And so she has let me know that there is a particular Apple ad that illustrates why she got into podcasting, and she will explain that when I turn this over to her. And then she let me know that she's currently reading a couple books, the Elon Musk biography by Walter Isaacson. I'm very curious to see hear her opinion, as well as a book by Tyler Perry, Don't Make a Black Woman Take Off Her Earrings. And that the book that she recommends every worker everywhere, which I have not read and I'm actually very curious about, is The A-Hole Survival Guide by Robert Sutton, and read it twice. And I'd love to hear what that book's all about. In terms of hobbies, she, of course, is into blogging, but she also loves studying languages and does Duo or interacts with Duolingo every day. She finished Portuguese and Japanese in addition to taking a French class, subscribing to Easy German, and reading non-English tweets. So that's impressive. She sounds very, very global in that regard. And in terms of her guidance, she says, to decide on your focus, listen to the pros, and be passionate about the topic, because it can be difficult to stay motivated when you don't get as many listeners as you would like. Oh, and know the tech basics, of course. So with that, I will pass it on to Margaret and her discussion on podcasting.
Okay, thank you. And actually, I was planning to present certain things that writers might encounter, and then people were asking me questions about podcasting itself, so I can also share that. But I'll try to be brief. But basically, I will play you the Macintosh ad that inspired me to do podcasting. I'm going to share my screen now, and hold on a second, please. Okay, here we go. So, and I'm on a Mac, by the way. So, all right, here we go.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of being contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So yeah, so basically you do remember that? You probably do, right?
It's a spectacular ad. It's Don't join their cult, join our cult.
Right. Incredible. Okay, so basically this is the reason why I started, and thank you, Apple, for creating this commercial. I know they couldn't broadcast it other than one time, because what happened was I was working in the radio business and I wasn't getting a break for many reasons, and some of it's superficial, like the kinds of things you hear in Hollywood. And what happened was, I knew about podcasting. This is back in 2008, when a lot of people were not podcasting. Maybe, it was a few years into it. And I told somebody what I want to do. And the person said, why don't you just start interviewing people? And then somebody else said, why don't you just start a podcast? And unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of information back then about podcasting. I had to get a book. I just, even online, there wasn't much information. But what motivated me to do it was, in that ad, you have that woman coming in. So there are all these drone looking people. It's all gray. The woman is running down. She's in color, and then she throws an object through the screen. And that's basically what I felt like I was doing with podcasting, because there are all these people around me, they're into broadcasting. And then podcasting was this, obscure kind of thing. And it was sort of like the early days of blogging. And I don't know if you remember that, but Pyra Labs used to own, they created Blogspot and people were getting on, but they were also blogging other ways, like on their own websites. And then everybody started coming in. So this was what podcasting was like. It was like this weird thing. People didn't really know about it. And I felt like, okay, if I'm going to put my voice out there, I'm not going to wait for a break from the broadcasting industry. I'm going to do my own thing. And I always had this ad in my mind because I knew I was going against the grain. And I was basically interviewing media people, and my podcast, it's still around, but it was called A Radio Girl, and I officially did it starting in 2009. And every time people would not give me a break or they'd wonder what I was up to, I always thought about this commercial for years. I mean, so this commercial is very inspirational. So thank you again, Apple. And I'm on an iMac 27-inch right now. So yes, I like Apple. I love Mac. So now, okay, so I was going to tell you about some things that you may encounter as writers, because some people, if you're a writer in a company, or I'm a writer for also, I started as a writer for this podcast called Green Sense. And if somebody gives you some things and they're asking you to do something with it for podcasting, I wanted to give you some tips. Then people were asking me about podcasting itself, so I can also offer additional tips if you want to start a podcast. But the first thing is, like I said, it says on the list, if you are dealing with any kind of creative anything like a PowerPoint or Photoshop and things like that, that's part of Adobe Creative Suite, and you can download Adobe Premiere Pro, and you can download Adobe Audition. Okay, so this is if you have the Creative Suite, and if you are into content creation, you should get Adobe Creative Suite. And of course, Adobe's not going to give me any money for saying this, but I think it's indispensable. I use a few different things. Just every week I post a podcast for this podcast I work for, and I use 3 of those apps. That's in Adobe Creative Suite. So the first thing I wanted to show you is, let's say that somebody gives you a recording and they say to you, I need you to write a description and I need it in half an hour. Okay, let's say there's a tight deadline. And I know in radio, I used to work in radio, and I mean, sometimes the deadlines would be 2 minutes. I mean, it was really intense. But let's just say somebody gives you, and you think, oh my gosh, there's this transcript. It's a 20-minute interview. I don't have the time to listen to 20 minutes and write down everything. And so if you're in a crunch, I'm going to show you something that's very simple right now. So now I'm going to show you Adobe Premiere, using Adobe Premiere, but I also have I found a free transcription, but I'm just saying if you do use Adobe Suite. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to Adobe Suite. Why the hell? Yeah, I've got to open it up. Okay. I've got to open up my Adobe Premiere, and whoops. And I'm going to, okay. So I'm going to share my screen and show you, because it's hard for me to show you Premiere if I don't have it open already. Adobe Premiere. And you don't even have to know anything really about video editing, but this is the workspace. So here is where you drag your file, your audio file, and this is all you really need. So let's say somebody did a Zoom interview, or they recorded something on Zoom, and they say to you, okay, I need you to write up a description, like I said, or I need you to transcribe it because we're going to put it on Google or whatever, on YouTube. So I can show you what to do. Here is, I'm just going to drag this from my Finder. It's an MP3 file. And this is my file. And I purposely am dragging a short file. Earlier today, I was looking at the transcript for a live stream that I just did, which was 2.5 hours, and I'm still in the process. It took me like at least 45 minutes to create the transcript with Adobe Premiere. So I'm just going to give you a simple, this is it. So this is it. See how I just simply dragged it in. I dragged the audio in, and see how this showed up. So this is the transcription. And then I could also show you how it looks if let me delete, okay. If I delete this and I do a longer one, let's see. Hold on, please, okay. And you drag it on where it has the little microphone, and you literally drag it from your Finder. Okay, so now we're waiting, but we're gonna wait a little bit. And once you drag it on, so what you do is you turn on your editing ability, and you make sure the transcript tab is open in your Premiere, and then you drag something in. Now notice how this is taking longer because the audio it's just much longer. So this might take a while. So while you're doing that, you can also look at the files. I want to show you the files too about when you actually get a Zoom file, because Zoom files are not automatically MP3. So I'm just going to put keep this. Oh, it says a few seconds more. But so the issue with Zoom files, or even if you record with your phone, which I can show you, you're going to get what's most likely you're going to get M4A files, and M4A files are not universal. See, it's still cooking, so to speak. So while that is cooking, like we're on a cooking show, to something else. And I'm going to show you first in Suite, and then I'll show you that it's free on the internet. Here we go. So let me share my screen again. I'm going to show you Adobe Audition, which is part of your suite. Drag something. I'm going to drag a M4A file onto here. Okay, so this is my M4A file. And this is, you do not want to use M4A file. So I dragged it into Adobe Audition. And M4A file, like I said, it is not a universal file. So you have to, there are a couple things you have to do. And I did say this in my list with the specs. Oh yeah, okay, the other thing finished cooking, but I'm going to show you this first. So if you look at, I don't know if you can see the XMP, but when you want to get information about your file, you have XMP, which is information about your file. So here, typical Zoom file, which this is a typical Zoom file. Number one, it's M4A. Number two, it's 32,000 hertz or 32 kHz. And that is not acceptable. That is not a standard. That's not a standard spec for any business, basically. So you have to convert this file. So what if you want to convert to M4A and MP3 or WAV, you just do file save as, just like, you know, Microsoft Word concept, and then you can save it as you can save it as an MP3, and then you have to change it to 41,000, which is in my list that I gave you, 41,000 hertz. And if it's spoken, you do mono.
Sorry.
And also for MP3, it's 128 Kbps. So that's in the list on this thing. So now, okay, I just saved it. And now in the XMP, which is the file information, you have 44,100 hertz, that's standard. Bit depth 32, that's fine. And then source form, it should be at least 128, MP3 should be 128 Kbps. So that's how you convert it from your Zoom file. And then once you convert it, then you go to Adobe Premiere, which I was showing you before. So let me go back to Adobe Premiere. And now it has finished cooking, so to speak. And you see the transcript here. And then what you can do is you click the three dots, you click export, you click export to text file. And I'll show you an example of something I'm working on now. So then I'm going to save it in my downloads, and then here's a text file. And then I will show you an example of a text file I'm working with right now. So let me let's see, stop sharing. And now I'm going to show you the text file I'm currently working on, because this is from the 2.5-hour interview that I did with this other guy yesterday. So this is what, and I wasn't going to show you live because it's too long. It would take too long to convert. But this is my interview, and what I'm doing is, this is the beginning. It's all time code. and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the main points about, you know, what I want to cover. So, and also the beginning from 00 to, I think it's 8 minutes in, it's just us chatting before. This is a Zoom recording, but it's just us chatting before the live stream that we did. And so, so here we are just chatting, and then it gets more into the content. So I will show you what I'm working on. Like I said, what I'm working on now, and that's my transcript. And then I'm going to go to the YouTube studio. Oh wait, let me tell something. So basically, if you have to write something really quickly, and they say, okay, we need a basic description. I interviewed John Smith. It's a 10-minute interview, but I need you to write a description because we're going to put it in a summary, or we're going to put it on our website, or we're going to put it, you know, wherever or we're just going to brief somebody, an executive, about what's going on. Just do a search. Just say something like, if you know that they talked about mechanical connections or something, you can do a search, you know, connections or something in your thing, in your transcript, and look at it. Or you can say, you know, they're discussing a document, you know, something like that. And then you can just write. So I'll show you a result of me using this tool. Let me just see here. I'll show you two things that I've done with using this transcript situation. So here is the Green Sun Show. This is a podcast I work for, and there are episodes. And let me go back a ways. So let's say like this guy right here, Victor Garcia. So here, I edited the audio, but then I looked at the transcript. I used that transcript feature, and then I got the main points using the transcript and using the audio, and then I was able to write the summary. And the same with social media. So I could do that. Here's another one, the flying car. He's in California, and you know, here, can a car fly? And then here it is, you know, a description of the episode, but the episode is it's several minutes. So
The Green Sun Show is brought to you by CEA Technology,
but I
a leader in
so
building.
it's 36 minutes. They're about 37 minutes. So I was able to take 37 minutes and boil it down really quickly. It didn't take me long. So that's my recommendation for if you have to quickly summarize your you know, your audio. Now I did find, because for people who don't have that option, I did find a free version, and I can show you. There's a free version that you can for transcription, and let's see, hold on a second. And also there is also a free version of converting. So that's what I put in the list. So you can also, okay, so that's the transcribing, that's writing. Mm-hmm. And now that's one thing about writing. The other thing that's from the list that I sent you is you can also use the transcript to create chapters in your YouTube video. And I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so let's see. All right. So basically what I'm doing currently today, it's taking me a while because it's a 2.5 hours. So I'm using the transcript. I don't know if you can still see my transcript. I know you can see the website. I'm using the transcript. I'm going through it and I'm creating chapters. And this is very important for very long YouTube videos. So here's my short introduction I put before. It was a live stream. So this is an introduction to the live stream. 00:00:00 is going live, and you have to have your time code of 00.00. And then I've been listening to the interview. So now I'm 1 hour in. I've got 1.5 hours to go. And I'm just clicking into chat. It's going to create chapters. And an example of the final version is, let me just stop sharing just to make sure that I can show it correctly. Is I did create chapters out of this very long interview, and I'll show you right now. Here is the example. So I created chapters 2.5 hours, and you can see this is the going live. This is him talking about a sports play-by-play. This is him sportscasting. Now we're talking about how he got into it. See what I mean? And this guy actually, he's from California. He lives in Palm Desert now, but he grew up in California. So we're just talking about, you know, different things, and it's different. This took me a while, but the point is, it would have taken me like, I don't know, 10 hours or something. And here is the finished version of the YouTube chapters. So that's another thing. If you're at work and somebody said, "Oh, hey, we posted this really long interview on YouTube," or it could be Vimeo, but YouTube, and can you create chapters? This is what they're talking about. And basically, many videos now have these chapters, and you can click. So now
Okay,
we're
well,
gonna
so you talked about because
I can click anywhere. And here's let's see, running a news station, 205.
well, see, one thing I noticed about
So
running
that's what's good about it. So it's very, so like you can use that transcription for that. Okay, now I've been talking about, are there any questions about what I've been talking about or anything else?
I have used Otter.ai for transcriptions. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've used Otter. Yeah. Otter's very, very good. It's just the free version is limited. So if you have to do a lot of it, Suite, if you have Adobe Suite, first choice, because it's unlimited. There's also another one which is Riverside has one now. Riverside transcription. I'll show you that. And I think they started offering it for free because people kept asking about it. So I'll show you. Okay, Riverside. Yeah, let me just make sure it's free. Okay. So this is, I'll show you this one. Riverside is another option that people are using for live streaming and meeting because the audio quality is good. So here is the audio transcriber. Oh, you got to create an account, but you can create it for free, and then you can upload your audio, and it'll create the transcription. So that's Riverside. I'm not registered, but that's another free. That's a free option for you. So, but okay, so Otter is very good. So whatever you use, but just the thing about the YouTube is that's why transcribing is helpful, because then you can do your time checks if somebody gives you a video to deal with. And also now another thing I showed you was YouTube, how it, you know, your YouTube recording is M4A, and I showed you that you can use Adobe Audition, but there is a free excellent version that I highly recommend. Please only use it. I mean, there are a lot of this company is fantastic. I live stream through them, Restream, and they're so solid and they're trustworthy. So this is a great way to convert your file. So what you do is you can drag your file or select it. I will drag it in here. And then here you see it, you can, I've chosen my file, and note how it says M4A, which is, you definitely do not want that to share that. And you can choose your output. Wave is excellent for music type stuff. MP3s is good for talking. And then you can convert it. And then it's uploading, and then it will convert. And sometimes it takes a while. So maybe I should have used a smaller one, but it may take a while. So let's see. Okay. Actually, but this should not be that long because I think it was only 20 seconds, but it's taking a while. But here we go. So here we go. I can download it, and then that's it. And then I have the file now is it has the proper specs. So, so that's another thing you can use as a writer. And then finally, let's say you don't have access to Creative Suite, and you don't, and somebody's telling you, hey, I need you to, because this has happened. I work for a company where this guy, they had this radio interview, and they said, can you get the digital file and can you edit it a little bit? So that's why I recommend on the web, you'll see it on the list. I recommend Audacity, which is free. If you have a Mac, you can use GarageBand. Audacity works on either Mac or GarageBand. So this is what it looks like, and you can download it. And Audacity is incredible because when it started several years ago, it was very basic, but now it has a lot more features. And you can use this, and like I did also provide the link to, I provided the link to its explanation because they answer all these questions. Their user guide is incredible. So I can show you, I also showed you that. So let's see, hold on a second. And this is the, whoops, this is the user audio editing. And basically anything, I'll show you on the screen, basically anything you need to know is here. And even advice for audio editing. They give a lot of great advice. So you can use their advice anywhere. And they, like, for instance, let's see, okay, I'm gonna skip this. So you can, they talk about loudness normalization, just different things. You know, different and this is, like I said, you can apply these to other applications. But I'm going to show you Audacity right now because I did download it to show people.
Yeah, about 10 years ago when I was with the East Bay STC, when they were still in existence, we started doing some podcasts, recordings, and I used Audacity to convert to put it on our website.
Yes.
A podcast of the program. Yeah, so that was very basic.
Audacity
Very
is
basic.
just as good.
Very basic.
Yeah, Audacity is just as good as other ones. It's incredible. I mean, and it's free. So yeah, this is what it looks like. And here's your file, and then you can edit,
You wouldn't have, what do you say to people? Or vice versa?
And you just like, and I mean, Audacity works differently. I like Audition. I don't use Audacity, but I used it for a while, and you could just do the basics, delete, and you can, then they have all these other effects, you can add effects, there's a drop down. You can't see the drop down from here, but they have all the basic effects you'd ever need. So, and then, you can just fix it and listen. And then you can also do you can also bring another thing in, and you can, mix
increase the volume or decrease the volume depending,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here they do it like, this is how they do it. Audition's different, but this is basically, you're creating a sound envelope. You can do that. And here's like the second file. This is the, you can do the other thing. And that's the sound, and I can decrease that, I can fix that, there are different things you can do. So, and you can move this, and then you just have to use a different tool. So that's basically what any audio system is like that. You just use the tools.
Yeah, so you were saying,
see, then I can mix it down. So, but okay, is there a question? Oh, the list is on the web. The list is on your homepage. I'll show you. So here we go. Okay. So I just gave you some basic information. I could go into how to literally create a podcast. Now, what questions do you have about literally creating a podcast? Because I was just relating it to, if you're ever in a crunch, you can convert a file for free. You can create a transcript to write from, which I've done for a long time. And then you can also create time codes on your YouTube video at any company, and then people can click where they want. And you can all do this from the transcript instead of just listening to every single thing that they say. Are there any questions?
I'd like to just put in, aside from there's Reaper, there's Cakewalk, which was originally Cakewalk, and then it was Cakewalk Sonar, and then it was just the company kind of collapsed on itself, and they released Cakewalk, which is equivalent to Pro Tools. I mean, it's a full-featured, probably overkill for just doing this kind of stuff, but it's worth looking at. The
Yeah,
bunch
I'll
of
show
options,
you.
and
Yeah, okay.
go on YouTube and
Well,
go show me free or low cost recording software.
yeah, I mean, cakewalks. Yeah, I was gonna say that what this guy is doing here in this picture, he's creating music. So for music, they have different, you have a lot more requirements for music, and it's way more complicated to
Right.
create music. If you're just doing a podcast, you can just use GarageBand. It is, and also you can record into GarageBand. If you have a Mac, you can record into Audacity. So the thing about podcasting, if you're just going to talk and do some simple mixing, keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I can show you, okay, I'm sorry. Are there any more comments or questions? Because I can like really get into the weeds, or I can keep it basic, or.
Well, I'm curious about because I really don't watch podcasts or listen to them that much, but I'm seeing them increasing on Spotify and everywhere else. So there's a graphic that becomes like your icon for your show.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you do all that yourself?
Yeah, my husband's a graphic designer, so he designed it. And back in the early days, my goodness, I didn't even know how to do all this because there wasn't a lot of information. But now I can show you what you do is when there are a couple ways to put an image in there. So you have a logo created, that's important. And then you can do it through iTunes. You can put I could show you in just a second. You can put when you load into iTunes, they give you chances to put the image in, but even in Audition. So I'll show you in Audition what I do. Let me share my screen again. And so it took me forever when I was first podcasting. Now it's called ID3 tag. ID3 tag. What you do is you do your title, you do the artist, you do the album, and then you do the album art. So let's see. So I can show you what it looks like. And let's see, I'm typing in an episode for my own thing. Let's see. Okay. So here's an example, and I'm loading my audio right now, and here I could put in some stuff. Gee, okay, I've got to look up the okay, the thing. Because here it is. Okay. So here I'm putting it in, and so I'm going to give you a before and after. So before, when this is a file before. See, it's all like hinky looking, and it's not, I didn't process it well, and
Mike North became famous through.
But this is before, and then this is an example of after. Here's I don't know if you can see my ID3 tag, but the title is the episode, the artist is my email address, the album is the podcast website, and here's the album art, and then here's the information. So this is an example of what you do. That's how they get their images in there into each episode. And also each podcast hosting service, they have their own requirements. So they'll say, okay, you have to submit your artwork here, you have video here, you just follow what they do. You follow you follow their requirements. Here's Podbean, which I think is a really good service. I use that. And so here is an example. Here's the main image. That's the host. And then I create these in Canva. And then I upload them. I decrease the size using Adobe Photoshop, and then I upload them here. So I just follow basically what Podbean tells me to do, how to upload these things. I can demonstrate if you want. What, any other questions?
Thanks. That looks really great. That was very interesting to me. Thank you.
So people make money with podcasting, or is it something?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people do. So I have a friend and he makes money. It's his podcast. Actually, he does interview people on the West Coast.
What's the basic workflow?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so the basic workflow is number one, you have your recording device. I mean, sorry, you have your mic. I have this cheapo. I use this cheapo mic because it's nostalgic. Because this is the first I got it at the Mac store, at the Apple store. A blue. It's not even good quality. It's old. I just use it for nostalgic reasons. And you can also just use your phone. So you need, first of all, you need an input. And then once you record it, and also you may record it through Zoom or whatever. And then that's when you convert the file and you edit it. You edit the audio, you mix it with music or whatever else, and then you mix it down. And then if it's a long one, you can put it, create a transcript for it. If it's not, you don't have to. You write the description, then you upload it to the service. So I can show you on Podbean an example. Let me just because I'll show you. This is what I do basically. Let's see. Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Okay. So I'll just show you what behind the scenes or the back. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen now. And so this is Podbean. This is
Margaret, you're on mute all of a sudden.
Yeah.
No.
that's strange. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here's the behind the scenes. So then basically you upload and then okay, where'd this go? Okay. You upload and then you can you choose something and then you can see. Okay. And then so here's the thing, it's uploading, and then you can choose a new picture and then you can upload that as well. And then you can you have to make sure that it's the right size. And then so you choose a new image and then you go like this one, okay. And then I don't know if you can see this on my screen, but you can update it. So that's how I'm doing the image. And then you type out your description. And then you can, you do a title and then you do the description and then you click publish. So that's how so every program has its own dashboard.
Margaret, does your podcast have advertisers, or how's the funding work?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my own podcast, Radio Girl. No, it does not. I didn't do it for money.
Okay.
And then the Green Sense one, he has some upcoming sponsors. And I have a friend who has a podcast who makes money from that. And also I also do the Illinois News Broadcasters Association podcast. And they don't have the purpose, they don't have sponsors because it's just to get the word out about Illinois News Broadcasters Association. So So basically, if people want to make money, I think the best way to make it is to do a whole package throughout your social media and so forth. So this is Illinois News Broadcast Association. This is on SoundCloud. And we just do it for exposure. So, and also this comes from the live stream too that I do. But the way that people make money, first of all, is extremely hard. And usually they use podcasting as a marketing way. So to get more clients or to get more exposure, or they use it in connection with something else. So they'll say, okay, you can sponsor me, my podcast, my blog, my social, my Instagram, my LinkedIn. And so they usually create like a little package, my live stream, and then that's what people are sponsoring. I mean, I actually advertised on my friend's podcast for 1 month. So I paid him for the month, and he ran my ad 4 times.
So how do you run an ad while in your podcast?
Okay, so how people do it, I don't run ads, but how people do it is either if they have a continuous sponsor and it's going to be there a while, then they'll put it in the episode. But what a lot of platforms are doing is it's called they insert ads. So let's see, it's called dynamic ad insertion.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that what you do is you have the podcast and then you tell the program to insert an ad after 7 minutes, insert an ad before the podcast starts, and that kind of thing.
And then
So that's how people are doing dynamic.
Is it like what we see on YouTube videos where I see 2 alternatives? One is every few minutes it just interrupts and runs an ad that you have to wait till it plays. The other one is occasionally the guy will stop in the middle of his talk about one subject and say, and by the way, I got all of this information from, and then he talks about his sponsor for a little while and then goes back to his subject.
Well, that's the old broadcasting way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because there are a couple ways to do an ad. One is like what I do with my friend. I advertise on his podcast, and so I recorded the ads, and then he did the insertion. So he decided, okay, I'm gonna place her ad in these places. It went in automatically. Then there are other ads from the network that you're a part of. So for instance, if you're part of Spotify, if you're part of even YouTube, or if you're part of Spreaker, the company that owns that, they will put ads into your podcast.
Okay.
And then it's because they're buying like many podcasts. And then the other way to do it is like what you're talking about is like a live read where you're just reading, a sponsor. You're talking you're speaking about it during your podcast.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to listen to the Yankee games in the 1950s, Mel Allen would stop between talking about what was happening on the field and mention that he was opening up a bottle of Ballantine or smoking a White Owl cigar.
Yeah, product placement.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called like that. Well, in radio, that's called a live read when the host reads something.
Okay, that's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
But are there any other questions? Because there's a lot to it. I mean, well, but it's not complicated though. I'm just, these are just basic things. But I wanted just to give the writing angle, and the podcasting angle is another aspect where you just have to learn how to edit. You have to sit down, just do it, learn how to edit, and then you can, you have to make sure you have the right specs. And then you also have to make sure the right specs again are for speaking a mono file, MP3, 128 Kbps, and 44.1 kHz, which that's also on your homepage. So.
Now, just on terminology, does the podcast only, as a term, we get things that are podcasts that are just audio only, And then we get things like the YouTube videos. Are those both called podcasts?
Okay, now it's sort of blurred because it used to be called video cast or video blogging, but now they're calling everything a podcast. But the what makes a something a podcast? Yes, okay, podcast is historically audio, but the
Okay.
key of the term of podcasting is really the RSS, the real simple
Yeah.
syndication.
Yeah.
Because some people think, oh, posting audio online, that's a podcast. That's not true. The podcast comes in the subscription.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because I actually found you, Radio Girl, on my I did a search for it and I found
I
it.
stopped doing it as much because I was getting paid. I mean, so it's sort of hard to do something for free when you're getting paid. So I was doing other things, but yeah. But I posted one a few weeks ago.
On the subject of microphones, it's worth mentioning that there are devices that essentially, well, there's an XLR in, a standard microphone connector in, and USB out, and turns any microphone into, an internet microphone, whatever you want to call it, but a USB microphone.
Yeah, microphones are a huge issue. It deserves its own webinar, but yeah, you just have to listen for the sound. I mean, good microphones, there are so many good ones. I mean, Shure makes good ones, but you really have to just decide how best, because I have a handheld recorder and it sounds amazing. It sounds like I'm in a studio. If I were just to use that, it sounds better.
And nowadays, the worst microphone is okay. It's yeah.
Well,
since actually,
COVID,
if you go on YouTube, you can hear comparisons, but they'll compare like 6 different microphones that cost between $100 and maybe $1,800, and the $1,800 one sounds better, but not incredibly better. Just a little better.
Well, it's because really it's musicians and so forth who want the excellent microphones, the different hues of sound, but. Ever since COVID, our tolerance for bad audio has gone up because so many people are on Zoom that people are just accepting that. Whereas before COVID, it was way more strict.
Right. I was very fascinated to learn about, so that's what an M4, why their audio files are M4A. And I never knew that about dot wave versus MP3. That's a bit like with graphics, JPEG versus
PNG.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good point because the wave is the PNG and the MP3 is the JPEG because waves are just really huge files and they're really good for music for capturing all the nuances, but MP3 is the way to go for spoken. Never M4A, because if you send somebody an M4A and they have to edit it and they don't know what to do, it can cause a lot of problems, or even if they're going to bring it into Premiere. So definitely convert your audio. Whenever you send audio to anybody, convert it to make it easier. So use that free converter to do that.
Okay.
Oh, Andrew is appearing.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Whoa.
Andrew, you're rotated 90 degrees.
Hi, Andrew.
Apologize.
He's got a halo over his head too, I think.
All right.
For a pen. Okay.
Anyway, I thank you very much for this presentation.
Yes.
I want you to know that you will receive the coveted SDC Berkeley mug.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's really cool because my sister went to Berkeley for law school, and my niece just graduated from Berkeley in engineering undergrad.
Perfect.
Yeah, we used to be the Berkeley chapter, and we are now the San Francisco Bay chapter after these mergers, but we still have a bunch of these mugs.
Yeah.
We're slowly working towards being the Western Hemisphere chapter.
So that makes them collector's items at this point, because after these go, there will be no more.
There'll be no more. We will not make more Berkeley chapter mugs.
How many Berkeley chapter mugs do you have left?
I don't want to say exactly, but
I don't know. I think we made a batch of 144 on 2 different occasions, and I think
Oh
we're
my God.
probably halfway through the second batch. We did use up the first batch.
It's 144.
But
I
you
think it was-
really sent them out?
I think it was 12
60
dozen.
bucks.
Well, we
72 mugs.
All right, I am going to stop the recording at this point since we're just talking.
I think the leadership grabbed